Starring Bela Day in...
But Ma, that's my favorite movie. Oh, well, all right. But don't you spend too much time in front of that TV, do you hear me? Yes, Ma. Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? I hope today is treating you well. Well, welcome back to another episode of my podcast, But Ma, That's My Favorite Movie, or But Ma, That's My Favorite Movie. I am your host, B. Lede, and today I have a special guest joining me. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, I am Bela Day's sister, Ambi Bambi.
Ambi Bambi, and don't forget it. Okay, now before we go any further, I have to, thank my listeners. If you are a returning listener, thank you so much for, tuning in and coming back and back and back. And if you are a new listener, then welcome. Thank you for tuning in, and you are definitely in for a treat today, which will hopefully keep you coming back for more. All right, so this episode is titled, and would you want to do the honors and say it with me? But Ma, it's my favorite witchy movie. But ready? Yeah. Okay. All right. This episode is titled, But Ma, That's my favorite witchy movie. Perfect.
Yes.
Because yes, we are witchy sisters, if you did not know. And so this is definitely up our alley. This is,
definitely.
We just feel these movies like all together. Like these movies are, well, actually, the movies we're going to talk about today, we grew up watching. So, I've talked about before a lot of these movies I saw when I was younger. Oh, and I've mentioned my sister several times in different episodes of like, yes, we watched this movie together and this because we were just like movie heads growing up.
Yes. That's our thing.
Yes, we love movies. I feel like even as kids, we watched a lot of movies. Like I feel like we had like a big catalog of movies that we watched,
and it was very diverse.
Very I've mentioned before. Our parents didn't really shield us.
They really didn't.
Like movies. We kind of got to watch everything. So I think that's why we didn't grow up like crazy or, wilding out, because
we saw that.
We saw it all and it was like no big deal. All right. So now before we get into this theme more, I want my sister to go ahead and introduce herself. Okay. Ambi's going to introduce herself, and I'm going to ask her some questions, which I have asked some other guests on my show as well. And we're just going to go ahead and get to know her. So the first question we have, okay, now she can answer, I'm like talking to you in third person. She can answer, you can answer, one of these two questions, or you can answer both. Okay. So you can either talk about what is your favorite movie experience you've had, and or what is your first movie experience you remember?
First movie experience. I'm going to have to say, since Mother did not shield us, watching Menace to Society and having my hair plaited up like Loke Dog.
Really?
Yes. And when the music, like the beginning part, you know how the music is when they go to school, and just being like, that's my little party, just feeling like, okay, yeah, but not understanding the movie completely.
Exactly.
But it's like, damn, I look good.
You know what? I actually can't even think of my first movie experience. Like, I can't even remember what was the first movie I seen. And it very well could have been some of the ones that I already talked about. But I literally don't have any idea. Like, I can't, no memory comes to mind.
Well, there's so many movies that...
Exactly. So that's good that you had that, because, I don't even know what
that sticks with me.
Mrs. Society.
Yes. And having my hair plaited up like Loke.
And who was it? Samuel Jackson was in there, right?
In the beginning? Society?
In the beginning where he was calling Kane, or was that someone else?
I'm going to say that was somebody else. I don't remember.
I thought it was... My mom was listening. She confirmed it was. So he was like, Kane. Oh, because when he shot that dude.
Snap.
But you know what, to be honest, that was more like obscure. Like, it was kind of, not saying in a bad way, but it was kind of easily forgettable that he was in that movie. Because that scene was short. I mean, that wasn't like a long scene, but he was like, Kane. Because the little boy came in there and seen it.
Because that was the last time he was going to see his daddy. His daddy wilding out.
Oh my gosh. Okay, moving on. Okay, so did you want to talk about like a favorite movie experience, or we're just gonna go with that first memory of it, first movie experience?
That's what I'm gonna go with.
Okay,
Yes.
cool beans. Okay, so the next question we have here, and this is a new question I've added. I haven't asked this one before, because we're kind of like go into movies, but I was like, I could be interested in knowing what is their actual favorite movie. What's your favorite movie?
My absolute favorite movie is Grindhouse Death Proof.
Yes.
I am a Quentin Tarantino fan, and that movie is absolutely the best out of it. I mean, they're all fabulous movies, but this one sticks out to me because it's girl power.
Very much so.
It's girl power, and it's cars, and it's sexy.
Yes.
And I'm like, it has all those components, and you know, the whole dialogue of the movie intrigues me. Like, I know these words. Like, I hate to watch this movie with anybody else because I'm going to be
talking the whole movie.
Pretty much.
But I mean, you got it down. So, you know, at least when you're like repeating these lines, you're going to be on time with it because you know it that well.
Oh, yeah.
So then it's like, okay, that's not that bad because I mean, you're saying.
Yeah, but it's like, damn, girl, we want to watch the movie.
Okay, which character said that line? You say the character's name. Okay, let them say. But yes, yeah, and I knew it was funny because I gave my sister these questions beforehand, and I go, you know, I was like, oh, you know, tell us what your favorite movie is. And I go, oh my gosh, I know what your favorite movie is. I knew it instantly. Anything else that you wanted to add about the movie? No.
It's what it is.
We'll probably end up maybe in the future. We'll do like a breakdown of that movie.
Don't tease me.
Well, because first of all, that movie, you know what? I like that movie too. I enjoyed that movie. And I think I enjoy it because I think you enjoy it too. Guys, I think that's another thing.
Like, I would get that movie from Dad all the time. Like, borrow that movie from him so much religiously. He was just like, go ahead, baby, just keep it.
Baby, just keep it.
Yeah, just go ahead and keep it. Just go ahead and keep it. Like,
go ahead and keep it for me.
Because you always borrowing it.
Yep. Which that was cool. All right. So, last question we have here for you. And this is actually my favorite question. If you could describe yourself with a movie genre, which would you pick? And you can choose one or more.
I would say drama and comedy.
Okay.
What was the word you came up with?
Dramedy?
Oh, that's so cute. Yes. It's a dramedy.
Dramedy?
It's a dramedy.
Oh, I'm trying to think. Is that? I think that's the right term. Okay, but anyways, yes. Dramedy. And why would you go with those two genres?
Because it's literally drama and there's funny parts in it. You know, you got to keep laughing.
You're no Mary J. Blige. No more drama in your life. You have all the drama.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about this theme a little bit here. Okay, so we are now counting down to Halloween. We have 16 days. Well, we are 16 days away from Halloween. So I just thought it would be perfect to, you know, like I've been saying, you know, talk about some of the biggest staples of Halloween. You know, when you think of Halloween, you think of ghosts, you think of black cats, and you think of witches. Okay, like witches are a prominent figure when you think of Halloween or when you think of fall.
Absolutely.
And so our double feature today will have movies that we're going to focus on that are going to feature witches. And they are, you know, witches that are participating in a metaphysical lifestyle, which I recently found that word and I love it. Because when I think of like, okay, potions or spells or tarot or stuff like that, you think witches, and I never knew what like the word was other than saying, oh, like that's witchy. And so I found that. And so I think that's cool. So let's see. So, okay, now the witches that we talk about, coincidentally, they're actually teen witches. No pun intended. But more specifically, because I know like when I go with my themes, and like I've had a teen episode, but like I feel like these movies lean more into the metaphysical lifestyle. So I think it's prominently about, them being witches versus like teens being the big factor of it,
Right. Big girl magic.
Yes. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and get into our first movie today, which is going to be, you want to do the honors? You remember which one it is? The first one?
The Craft.
The Craft. Okay, now before we actually get into The Craft, maybe just like a quick, some quick commentary. The Craft, well, they're actually making a sequel to The Craft Legacy. Thoughts on that?
It shouldn't be happening.
I mean, I agree. I feel like definitely something should be left alone, and that movie should be one of them.
It's a classic. It stands on its own. It does not need...
It doesn't need a sequel.
It does not need a sequel years later. It does not need to be modernized. Like, leave it how it is.
So The Craft Legacy is coming out October 28th, 2020. Now, I'm hating right now. I'm probably going to low-key still check it out. But, I'm coming in with not high expectations. I'm coming in probably not going to like it. And one thing I noticed, and this may sound weird, but it's because I'm a 90s kid. These teen movies, I'm so used to adult-looking teens that I don't like the ideas of having real teens in movies, because they literally look like teens, and I don't like it. I don't think it looks right, if that makes sense.
I get you. That really, yeah.
Because if you look at Jawbreaker, freaking Girls Just Want to Have Fun, like those are all like they were in their 20s when they did these roles.
That's
like
true.
They weren't actual teens, even though it was like they were in that middle ground. They looked young enough to play. They were old, but they looked young enough to play it, and it just worked. And I feel like because they have more experience, because they've kind of been through the teen phase, that they can put like more realism to it, if that makes sense, than someone who's like being a teen and going through it and then trying to act like you're a teen because you are. I don't know.
How you gonna pretend to be a teen when you a teen?
How you awake? Exactly. So yeah, I don't know. We're not too excited about it.
Not at all. Like, the previews is just upsetting.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get into this first movie here. All right, lights, camera, action. You girls watch out for those weirdos. We are the weirdos, mister. I think it's fun. Okay, because I really like that line. And so I felt like I had to say the bus driver part with it. And sometimes it just feels weird because I'm using the same voice. But anyways, the whole point is one of my favorite lines is that movie is when they say that we are the weirdos, mister. Because, this bus driver is like kind of taken back when the teens tell him that, because they're like, okay, like whatever. But anyways, so this movie was released May 3rd, 1996. The director is Andrew Fleming. He also directed Ideal Home and Hamlet 2. And then the writers of this movie were Peter Filardi. And he actually wrote Flatliners that came out in 1990. And they actually made a remake in the 2000s. And it had Ellen Page in it. I don't know if you ever saw like previews of it.
I heard of it, but didn't watch it.
Yeah, I do want to see it because that did actually look pretty interesting, but I haven't yet. And then also Andrew was one of the writers as well, so he directed it and had a part in the writing. All right, so let's go ahead and get into this summary here. Okay, so the beginning of this movie, we open up and we see three girls doing a ritual, and they're chanting. And we actually, later when we see these girls, we're going to know them as, the group consists of Nancy Downs, who's played by Firuza. Maybe that's actually sounded right when I said that. We're going to go with that. Bulk. Then we have Bonnie, who's played by Neve Campbell. And we have Rochelle, played by Rachel True. So then after we see these three girls who are chanting and stuff, and, you know, of course, at that point, we don't know who they are. Then we actually get introduced to Sarah Bailey, who's played by Robin Tooney. And she's actually moving to LA with her dad and stepmom. And she actually doesn't seem pretty excited about the move. She looks kind of indifferent about it. And she actually, like, when we first see her, she looks like she has like a lot on her mind, but we can't exactly tell what it is, because of course we haven't got that information yet. We just see that she's moving to LA. Now, as soon as they get to her new house, she sets up a picture of her mom. So it's safe to say, she sets up a picture of a woman, and it's kind of safe to say you think that's probably her mom. And then she ends up going downstairs to get something. And the door is actually slightly open. And there's this guy, and he has this snake. And he actually opens up the door further, and he starts kind of being a creep, like trying to talk to her, like, oh, hey, I found this snake. You want the snake? And you know what's funny is I do not really care for snakes. And, you know, I don't like seeing them in movies. But for some weird reason, I didn't actually mind it in this movie. Hello everyone, this is Bila Day. Sorry to interrupt this episode, but I just wanted to let you know that you were only listening to a preview. So if you would like to listen to the rest of this episode, then you can definitely go to the website, butmathat'smyfavoritemovie.com, or you can go directly to any of these platforms for the full episode. We are available on Podbean, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Castbox. Please don't hesitate to follow the podcast on any of those platforms so that you can be notified anytime a new episode is available. If you didn't know, our primary release day is every Thursday, but be on the lookout for bonus content as well. Now, if you've listened to the But Ma, That's My Favorite Movie podcast before, that's awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it. So if you have a friend that loves movies like we do, then definitely go ahead and share this podcast with them. And if you're a new listener and you do end up enjoying the podcast, well, then you go ahead and share with a friend too. Also, don't forget to like any of our social media pages so that you can also get updates and regular information about the podcast and about any of the episodes that are coming up. The social media sites that we have a presence on are Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And also, if you want to leave a review, whether constructive or positive, we'd appreciate that too. All right, go ahead and get over to one of the other platforms so we can finish getting into the rest of these movies.